For more than 3 decades, the city of Wichita, Kansas, lived in quiet fear. Behind manicured lawns and church pews, a hidden predator toyed with the community and the police. A man who called himself BTK, bind, torture, kill. He signed his own letters that way, a name meant to terrify, but also to prove he was still watching. It began in 1974. Wichita was an ordinary Midwestern city, trusting and calm. When the Otero family was found murdered in their home, detectives were faced with a case that defied logic. There were no witnesses, no apparent motive, and no pattern the police could recognize. Back then, we thought it might have been a burglary gone wrong, but the longer we looked, the clearer it became. Someone wanted to leave a message. Over the next few years, similar murders appeared sporadically. The city's sense of safety began to fray. The killer, whoever he was, seemed to disappear between crimes, leaving investigators with almost nothing to go on. In October 1974, a letter arrived at a Wichita television station. Inside was a rambling confession, details only the killer could have known. The writer demanded attention. He wanted credit. And at the bottom of the page, a chilling signature, BTK. Detectives soon realized they were dealing with someone who craved recognition as much as control. BTK wasn't just committing crimes, he was curating them. The letters were performances. Every line was carefully crafted to prove he was smarter than law enforcement. As the years passed, Wichita learned to live with the tension. BTK's name became part of local folklore. Whispered about, rarely spoken aloud. Parents kept their doors locked. Teenagers dared each other to say his name. Then in the early 1990s, the trail went cold. BTK seemed to vanish entirely. For nearly a decade, there was nothing, no letters, no crimes linked to BTK. Some investigators retired, convinced the killer had died or moved away. Others believed he was still out there, blending back into ordinary life. Those who worked the case never forgot it. Files were revisited, evidence re-examined, but technology had limits then. Without DNA matches or new tips, BTK became a ghost story. You'd be driving home and a thought would hit you. What if he's behind me at the stoplight right now? He could have been anyone. Wichita rebuilt itself, but the shadow of the unsolved murders lingered, a quiet scar on the city's conscience. Then in 2004, 30 years after the first murders, BTK came back. A Wichita newspaper received a package. Inside were photographs and a copy of a victim's driver's license. The letter claimed BTK was still alive and watching. Detectives, now equipped with modern forensic tools, reopened the case with renewed urgency. He wanted attention again. After all those years, he couldn't resist stepping into the light. But this time, technology had caught up to him. The new BTK communications were analyzed for trace evidence and digital fingerprints. Investigators discovered he was now using computers, an advantage that would eventually lead to his undoing. BTK reached out to police through coded letters and messages left in public libraries and mail drops. Then, in one of his final taunts, he asked a fateful question. Could a floppy disk be traced? The Wichita police answered publicly through a newspaper message. No, it can't be traced. But that was a lie, and it was the lie that ended his freedom. When the disk arrived at a local TV station, forensic specialists examined its metadata. Hidden inside was a name, Dennis Rader. It also revealed that the document had last been opened at Christ Lutheran Church in Park City, where Dennis Rader served as church council president. It was surreal. We had chased a phantom for 30 years, and suddenly we had a name, an address, and a man who looked like anyone's neighbor. February 25th, 2005. Surveillance teams moved in on Dennis Rader as he drove near his home. When officers surrounded his vehicle, the man who had once signed his letters BTK quietly raised his hands and surrendered. Rader's arrest stunned Wichita. He was a husband, father, compliance officer, and church leader. Respected, organized, ordinary. Neighbors described Rader as polite and meticulous. No one suspected he could be connected to one of Kansas's most notorious unsolved crimes. Over the following months, investigators confirmed what they had long feared. Rader had been the BTK killer all along. His detailed confession connected him to the murders stretching from 1974 to 1991. Dennis Rader's life appeared perfectly ordinary on the surface, but beneath that routine was a need for power and control that defined his every decision. Criminal profilers and psychologists later studied Rader's letters, his interviews, and his courtroom statements. What emerged was a portrait of a man who constructed a private fantasy world, one in which he alone held control, order, and dominance. He compartmentalized his life completely to his family. He was reliable and steady. To himself, he was the star of a secret narrative, one where fear was his signature. In August 2005, Dennis Rader was sentenced to 10 consecutive life terms. Kansas had no death penalty at the time of his crimes. He would spend the rest of his life in prison. For Wichita, the arrest brought both relief and discomfort. The man who had haunted the city had finally been caught, but he had lived among them for decades, unnoticed. It was like waking up and realizing the monster was your neighbor. It changed the way people trusted, even years later. The BTK investigation reshaped modern criminal forensics. It highlighted the dangers of ego, the importance of digital evidence, and the persistence of those who never stopped looking. But it also forced a community to face a difficult truth, that evil can hide behind the most ordinary faces. He named himself BTK, but in the end, it was his own need for recognition, not his crimes, that revealed who he truly was. The BTK case reminds us that sometimes the most dangerous secrets hide in plain sight, but it also shows how determination, teamwork, and technology can finally bring justice, even decades later. Now, we'd like to hear from you. What part of this story stood out to you the most? Do you think digital evidence has made it harder or easier for criminals to stay hidden in today's world? And how does a community truly move on from fear after justice is served? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Join the discussion, compare insights, and help us keep this conversation alive, not to glorify darkness, but to understand how truth and persistence bring it into the light. This has been BTK, the Codes of Control. Thank you for watching and for being part of the story.